Now, when it comes to our next story, this is possibly the prime example of this week, by the way, of the toxicity of the cartoon community. Because we have seen a few examples in this episode alone. And by the way, this is not even all of it. There have also been other times when the cartoon community got pretty toxic and they would go into their own harassment mode and just, going over the top with their outrage. But anyways, as I was talking about, we have discussed about the controversy with Hex and how it really does show that because they base their hatred on a conspiracy theory and getting mad over such small minor things like a design, that it really shows how the Disney hate is now obviously manufactured and that they're only doing it just for engagement instead of being honest with their opinions. And if it's not enough with the Amazing Digital Circus, where a lot of their criticisms with Glitch Productions is nothing more but from a misunderstanding of what indie animation is, and that it really shows that most people in the cartoon community don't actually consume enough indie animation, especially when it's not on the internet, then maybe this incident will. Because this is honestly the biggest proof that when the cartoon community is upset and they want to go after big studios, they don't know what they're doing and they end up hurting animators instead of those big companies. So without further ado, let's go and discuss about the Last Airbender incident, or specifically the Legend of Aang incident. Now, earlier in the month, there was a Twitter user by the name of I'm Still Dissin'. And there was a time that he used to be a hacker with his friends where they would go and do their little hacking shenanigans. However, one of his friends from those days decided to share with him a movie that was meant to be released for Paramount Plus, which turned out to be the Legend of Aang movie. Now, I'm Still Dissin' didn't really think much of it, and he decided, you know what? I'll just go and share a little 2-minute clip on Twitter and see how everyone would react. Just do it for the lulz. However, it's safe to say that I'm Still Dissin' might have underestimated the power of The Last Airbender, considering that it is one of the most beloved Nickelodeon franchises of all time. So of course, when he would go and share that 2-minute clip on social media, or in this case, Twitter, people went crazy for it. Like, they just went they ravaged all over it and analyzed every little thing that is presented in that little clip. And considering that he did also state that, hey, I actually got the whole movie, people were begging him to go and release the full feature. Just let it out there. But to I'm Still Dissin's credit, he resisted the urge to do so. He didn't want to go and do it. However, that doesn't change that it happened anyways. Not from I'm Still Dissin', but apparently another hacker from Singapore decided to go and release the entire movie and just post it all across social media, just so that everybody can go and actually see The Legend of Aang months prior to its official release this October. And for Paramount, you can imagine how it is a PR nightmare. And they tried to do everything in their power to go into each and every single post that would go and show clips or the entire movie of The Last Airbender and flag it down with a copyright notice. But even if they try, it is still spreading all across social media, even to this day, not just on Twitter, but in many other websites as well, like on Facebook, on Instagram, maybe on Blue Sky, on 4chan, and it's basically everywhere on the internet. And at that moment right there, animation fans thought that they had a victorious moment. They thought that this was a time that they could go and stick it to the man, or in this case, that they could go and stick it to Paramount, considering that they would go and say that this is payback for their decision of just giving it an unceremonious release on Paramount Plus. Because there was the controversy that did happen a while back in which originally The Legend of Aang was meant to be a big screen movie and they were ready to go and release that in theaters. But the problem was that Paramount then decided that they wanted to go and just take it out of the big screen and just release it on their streaming platform, Paramount Plus, which you can imagine many fans out there were highly disappointed, especially when Paramount Plus is not really that popular of a streaming platform. It is far from being on the levels of either Netflix or Amazon Prime or Disney Plus or anything like that. And even if people love Avatar: The Last Airbender so much, they're not really that keen on wanting to go and actually purchase a subscription of Paramount Plus just so they could go and watch the Legend of Aang movie. In fact, when they would go and try to describe why they would go and do it, they tried to justify that as like a piece of action. So I'm going to go and read you here from, oh boy, that went a little too high. Sorry about that. Just want to read you here a little excerpt from my source on The Hollywood Reporter, to which it states, pointing to Paramount's pivot away from releasing the movie in theaters, some fans have defended their choice to illegally download the leaked movie. One common refrain, they would have pirated the film anyways since it would have premiered on Paramount Plus. In which one commenter on 4chan says, anyone watching the leak would have been watching it on Paramount Plus in the first place. It literally makes no difference. To which another person added, another praised the animation and said the movie deserves to be in theaters. You fund animation like this and you throw it on a dead platform without any fucking advertising, the leak is deserved. So by that point, everybody was celebrating. They thought that they got a massive win where not only did they get the Legend of Aang movie, but at the same time, they also got it in which they were able to go and stick it to Paramount, where they found a way to go and attack Paramount and hurt their bottom dollar, because now they don't need a reason to go and get Paramount Plus because they already got the Legend of Aang. However, that's not what actually happened though. That's only what those animation fans think they did. Because what actually occurred to Animators, they were the ones who ultimately got the short end of the stick. They were the ones who ultimately got hurt in this entire process. Now, to switch to here on my source on Animation Magazine, it actually says right over here that there is one animator, specifically Julia Scholl. She posted a thread on Twitter describing why she and her fellow colleagues who worked on the feature are massively upset on why this occurred, in which she stated right here, we worked on the Aang movie for years with the expectation that we get to celebrate all of our hard work in theaters. Just to see people unceremoniously leak the film and pass our shots around on Twitter like candy. I don't like seeing people use Paramount's awful decision to remove the movie for theaters to justify leaking it. I totally understand folks not wanting to pay for and support Paramount Plus, but pirating the movie after its release would have at least been better than this. This is incredibly disrespectful to all the hard work the artist put in. Now, this sounds a little bit surprising that she would say that at least pirating it after it was officially released in October would be a better alternative. Now, to go and clarify that, She went and stated right over here, she added, leaking a movie before release undermines the entire efforts and its most vulnerable at its most vulnerable moment. No marketing buildup, premieres, etc., which harms the film's reputation and affects future opportunities for the artists who worked on it. Pirating, on the other hand, happens after the film has already had its chance to reach audiences through official channels and does not harm its reputation. And it's not just Julia who commented on this matter. There was also Tessa Bright, who is an animation director at Flying Bark, whom also worked on the movie, added this to the conversation, to which it states here, I understand that we all have opinions about what happened, and what you decide to do is your personal choice. But it breaks my heart to see the way some fans are treating the hardworking artists who dedicated years of their lives to bring you the best possible work they can with this film. It's perfectly reasonable for anyone who worked on this project to be frustrated at this situation. The amount of effort and dedication it took to make this film happen speaks for itself in the final product. I'm sure a lot of you will agree, and even if you disagree with us, I hope that you could find it in yourself to still be respectful. To the fans and industry folks who have spoken out for us, thank you. You're a big reason it was all worth it. So that's pretty much the big controversy. Oh, and there is actually one more thing that I almost forgot to add, because Paramount on their side, they decided to go and do an investigation as to what happened. Considering that, well, this is not the first time that this occurred, that an animated film from Paramount ended up getting leaked months prior to its official release. You probably remember a few years back when Saving Bikini Bottom, the Sandy Cheeks movie, was actually leaked, and that ended up becoming pretty disastrous for that feature. And it ended up being much worse when it did get released and people got a chance to fully see it, because, oh boy, the less I talk about that feature, the better, because my God, how I hate that film. But anyways, back to what I was talking about. Since it wasn't the first time that it happened, Paramount decided that they wanted to do their own investigation as to what occurred. And they didn't come out with a full solution as of yet. Oh, and apparently some person also added that there's been multiple leaks that did happen with Paramount, actually. This is no coincidence, in which people in the chat are reminding me about the Plankton movie, and then there's also the Ren and Stimpy reboot, the Fairly Odd Parents, the New Wish also got leaked. So yeah, apparently they've been unlucky with all of these leaks. But in the case of The Legend of Aang, however, they have apparently come to the conclusion, and not a full conclusion, that wherever it came from, it's not in Paramount. In which my source here in Variety actually states, Paramount is investigating the online leaks of its upcoming film, The Legend of Aang: The Last Airbender, but the company has determined that it did not come from within the studio, according to sources familiar with the situation. So that's pretty much the answer that they got so far. This could be ongoing. Maybe we'll know in the future who actually did go out of their way to leak the movie, but what they do know is that it's not from within. It's not like some secret agent in Paramount decided to go and leak The Legend of Aang onto the internet. So the source still remains to be seen where the hack ultimately came from. But the big thing that I want to go and highlight here, and by the way, honestly, there, ever since this news broke out, like when I saw that people were talking about this controversy, that, people were sharing links and they were sharing clips of The Legend of Aang and all that kind of stuff. When people were talking about that, I'm going to be very honest, I was very hesitant to go and actually talk about it. I've actually considered not to go and discuss about this story, mainly because I feel like it would just be adding more into the mess. And one thing, oh, excuse me, but one thing that I didn't want to cause is just to add fuel to the fire and make people want to go see the clips and all that kind of stuff. Like, I thought about maybe if I just don't talk about it, maybe it would be less likely that people would go and share it. But then with all these updates that have been going on, and especially with the behavior of the cartoon community, I feel like, honestly, you know what? Maybe it actually is worth discussing about it here. Like, not to go and discuss about the clip whatsoever or the movie itself or anything like that, but to talk about how people have been acting with the clip. And this really does highlight a big problem with the cartoon community, and that is with their big crusade against big companies. When you see them go after companies like Paramount or Disney or Warner Brothers or anything like that, they don't actually know what they're doing. They're just driven out of their own assumptions and entitlement. And this is a great example because what they are doing ultimately end up hurting they end up hurting the animators more so than they would with Paramount. Because I'm going to be very honest with you all. I don't think maybe this is my opinion, but I don't think Paramount really does care. I don't think they really care all that much about what would ultimately happen with The Last Airbender. I mean, it speaks for itself, the fact that they decided to pull it out of the big screen and just put it onto Paramount Plus. So in that regards, I don't think they really see that much value onto the Legend of Aang movie in the first place. So with the fact that it would ultimately be leaked online months prior, especially when they've had experience with getting their animated projects leaked again and again and again, in that regard, like, I don't think they would get that much of a reaction, and I don't think that it would really hurt them that badly. So Paramount doesn't really care. But instead, what ended up happening is that it hurt animators. They ended up hurting the people who worked on the feature, and they're the ones who get the short end of the stick because now all their work has pretty much felt like it was wasted. Like, now it was just a little online thing that has just been going on. It, like, the release of the feature now has been reduced to just a little trend. You know, it's just a little thing that got people talking across Twitter and on social media, just so it could have like a little blip of that moment right there, instead of having a proper release and a full discussion about the feature film. And I've seen some people argue that right now, because of that problem, the only way that The Last Airbender, or the only way that The Legend of Aang could actually be saved is if it would be released on the big screen. And I know this will sound very pessimistic of me to do so, but I don't see it happening. I don't really think that Paramount cares all that much about The Legend of Aang. And if anything, I wouldn't be surprised if they would just not release The Legend of Aang at all, or they would just unceremoniously put it up on Paramount Plus, just because they're like, you know what? People are already seeing it on social media. The leaks are already out and revealed so much of the feature anyways. Let's just put it on Paramount Plus. Forget about the marketing. Let's just release it and just move on. You know, like, it would just be so unceremonious in that level. I could be wrong, of course, but I wouldn't be surprised if they would actually go and do that. But going back into the subject of the cartoon community, the thing is that with them trying to take, with wanting to take down big companies and them wanting revenge against Paramount for not giving The Legend of Aang on the big screen, it really does show how their entitlement really does get the best of them, and that they're actually doing no damage whenever they're doing this crap on social media. They're not real, like, again, they're not really hurting the companies. They're just hurting the creatives behind it. It doesn't matter how much respect that they have for the creators or for any of the animators or the people working in animation. For them, they only care about their entitlement and their engagement. As long as it makes them feel like heroes for doing so, then that's all that matters. They don't have the empathy to think about, oh, what would happen if I do this? And like, how would the animators feel if I would go and do so? They wouldn't do that. And that is especially the case on Twitter, where more so than any other website, it is built where that kind of behavior is encouraged. And those people on that social media platform, they would use that as their top priority. Getting engagement is more important than anybody else's feelings. And again, we have already seen those examples, like with what has happened with the other things throughout the week. Like, we've seen this with Hex, where they're so mad at Disney with just the designs alone, to the point that they're so enraptured by their own little conspiracy theory, to the point that they have no problem going after the movie itself and anybody who would be involved, just a way to stick it to Disney. Like, it doesn't matter who's working on it. They just want to go and attack Disney, and they don't care about who would get hurt in the process. Or even with the Amazing Digital Circus, where they would be so upset and so entitled about the project from Glitch Productions that they end up seeing Glitch as the enemy, and that they would view, and they would try to portray them as just another bad company like Disney or Paramount, and that they would keep antagonizing them without even thinking about the creators themselves or the people behind it, especially when they have on record full-on harassed Gooseworks to the point that she had to go and bail out on Reddit. And even though the big incident occurred on Reddit, it is still noted that a lot of that harassment still did occur on Twitter as well. So honestly, I do understand what the animators are doing to ask for sympathy, to ask for respect, to ask for people to be respectful during this occasion. But in my opinion, I feel like doing so with those on Twitter, it's literally pissing in the wind. It honestly does not matter at that point, because in that regards, people care, like, people on Twitter especially prioritize their engagement over other people, over the well-being of others. And that is the case with animators. Again, this is why I stated before that there is no such thing as a good animation fan that still uses Twitter. If you want to be a good animation fan, then you might as well get off of Twitter, because it's doing a lot more harm than good. So I just want to go and bring out that message, and to go and give you a strong highlight of really what's been wrong with the cartoon community. There's been so much wrong. And again, this doesn't even highlight all of it, but this right here, I feel like, honestly, it's like, this is just a clear example of how far the cartoon community would go with their own entitlement, with their own desperate crusade against big corporations, only to end up hurting more people than to actually do more good. It really is next level compared to how I was with the Sony animation hate. Now, I'm going to be very honest with you all. I know that many of you have a lot to say on this matter, which is why I'm going to go and take another break. And then when I get back, we'll have a refresh on the timer, because admittedly, I don't have a lot left. And we can have a full discussion with the chat wall about the entire with the entire Legend of Aang leak. So save up your comments, and then when we come back, we will go and have a discussion, and I'll read what you have to say about the Legend of Aang incident. All right, welcome back. Now, with that said, let's go see what the chat wall has to say about the Legend of Aang incident. All right, so let's see. This is pretty bad. Paramount treating Avatar like dirt is awful, but leaking it is even worse. With Paramount getting leaks, they're starting to become the animation equivalent of Capcom. But at least with Capcom leaks like Street Fighter 6, they were somewhat positive. This, on the other hand, can damage the film. Avatar fans cannot catch a break these days. You're telling me, dude. Anyways, this is definitely one of the definitive examples of this toxicity that is so-called fandom truly is. They never really care about animation, and they never care about the artists that were affected by this. What's the point of loving animation if one that claims that they care about artists don't? Oh wait, I absolutely can, and I don't need this fandom. I'm personally thankful that I get to know the amazing people in the industry and that they absolutely deserve the respect from me. That's nice. Let's see now. First of all, F. Ellison and executives at Paramount for bad security and messing up film production. Second, F the toxic community for attacking animators and artists. Leaking a film on social media is a nightmare, and people who worked on the film had their celebrations ruined before the film's release. You still get to celebrate, but part of the magic is gone. By the way, did you see Pete Docter's dumb comments on Pixar's scrap film Be Fry from the article through The Hollywood Reporter? But honestly, I don't even want to know, because funny enough, that whole controversy occurred when I went to my weekend trip in Toronto, and honestly, I just wanted to disassociate myself from it, because I know that if I checked that out, I would be pissed off. And I mean, I'm already mad enough at the freaking cartoon community with their madness. I don't want to know like the big problems with this. Like, I know it's bad. This is not to say that I'm going to defend Pixar or Disney with that thing, but honestly, I just don't want to do so for my own well-being so that I don't get even more pissed off. So, long story short, I don't want to know. Please don't show it. I don't want to know about the Be Fry madness. Tell me less. Please don't show it. Please do not show me something that's so cringy. So yeah, I don't want to talk about it. All right. No, but it's perfectly fine. You don't have to go and apologize. But anyways, let's see. Honestly, it's actually a good thing that Coyote vs. Acme wasn't leaked, because the situation would be no different than what's being experienced right now. What we can agree on, though, is that Paramount needs way better security. This is nothing short of embarrassing for many sides involved. Yeah, exactly. This is honestly a situation where everybody is a loser. Like, Paramount is a loser because they pretty much wasted an entire movie for nothing. The animators lost because all their hard work has been wasted. And the fans have lost also because now they're proving themselves to be jackasses who have no idea what they're freaking doing or what they're talking about, because all they care about is their AI-generated engagement on freaking Twitter. Let's see what we got here now. I've already said my case about this on Blue Sky, so you can check it out there. But to summarize it, if this week didn't make you see just how toxic the community can be, then I don't know what will. Most of these fans don't truly care about animation, the people behind it, or the medium as a whole. They just care about the next big thing and what will benefit them in the end. It's sad and disgusting. I could spend all afternoon going on a rant, but I know everybody here want a piece to say. Feel free to do so. That's how I'm literally spending my afternoon. Okay. Anyways, let's see what we got here. So this new Avatar movie removed me from the theatrical release, then releasing it on a streaming service that nobody bought is just stupid. The fact that it's just got leaked and now Paramount is just one to investigate when really they relay all their movies by themselves every time. It's just mind-blowing. I feel so sorry for the animators to go through this. And you know, it's wild that the Amazing Digital Circus finale is releasing theatrical while the Last Airbender movie will not. Yeah, kind of crazy irony there, don't you think? Oh, let's see now. Is Paramount Security Passport 12345? But in all seriousness, this shocked me. The fact that the whole movie ended up getting leaked and seeing the people behind the movie getting hurt is awful. You can hate Paramount all you want for dropping its theatrical release, but this just hurts the animators. I feel so sorry for them. I honestly feel so sorry for many people in animation. I feel sorry for the Disney animators on Hex. I feel sorry for the animators who worked on The Legend of Aang, and I feel sorry for the people like Glitch Productions for dealing with their toxic fan base. Yeah, it's just, it's just been bad all around. All right, I think I'll read one more comment and then we'll go and get our next break and get on to the grand finale. Let's see now. All right, I'll go with this one here. This is an absolute nightmare for Nickelodeon. Spreading the leak of Avatar: The Legend of Aang everywhere is outrageous. I've never watched the leak before, and honestly, it is for the best since it wouldn't be fair for me to ruin the experience. I wish that Paramount would bring in tight security to make sure nothing gets leaked again. Seriously, Paramount is not well secured at times like this. Also, I wonder what people who have saw the leak thought of the movie. I'm just saying, no, don't ask. I think the best thing we can do now is just wait until October. Let's wait until the official release, and then we can go and actually talk about the movie or talk about what people think about the movie. I think that's honestly the best thing that we can do now for The Legend of Aang.